Clara was accustomed to silence. Not the uneasy, ringing kind found in empty houses, but a full-bodied silence. The rustling of pages, the creaking of old shelves, the steady ticking of a clock in the corner of the reading room. She was a librarian in an old coastal town, and her world was clearly defined by rows of books, the smell of dust and old paper. Her solitude was a choice, a cozy shell she crawled into after the world outside the library walls became too loud and unpredictable. Everything changed on a rainy Thursday when she was unpacking a donation box. Among the tattered novels and textbooks, her fingers came across a massive leather-bound volume without any identifying marks. The book was heavy, cold, as if carved from stone. When she opened it, the pages were blank except for one, in the very center where an intricate design resembling a clock mechanism was depicted on the yellowed parchment. And in a hollow, carved directly into the paper, lay a key. It was unusual, bronze, cold to the touch, with teeth arranged in a strange, almost unearthly pattern. A tiny, barely noticeable arrow was engraved on its handle. Clara turned the key in her hands, and the arrow wavered, pointing northeast, toward the cape where the abandoned Gray Dove lighthouse stood on a lonely rock. A place rife with dark legends in the town, a place where no one dared to climb after sunset. Something deep and inexplicable drew her there. Perhaps it was the boredom of her measured life, or perhaps the quiet call of destiny itself. Taking a flashlight and the key, Clara headed for the lighthouse. The sea wind howled through the crevices of the rocks, and the door at the base of the tower, rusty and slanted, seemed locked forever. But when she brought the bronze key to the lock, it slid silently, as if it had been oiled just yesterday. The lock clicked with a soft, satisfied sound. Inside, pitch-black darkness reigned, and the scent of salt, mold, and ozone, faint as after a thunderstorm. The flashlight revealed a spiral staircase rising from the gloom, but her attention was drawn to a small, inconspicuous door set off from the stairs, almost blending into the wall. It had neither a handle nor a keyhole, only a barely noticeable indentation shaped like the same strange pattern. Clara's heart began to beat faster. She inserted the key. The door slid aside without a sound. The room beyond was tiny, more like a scientist's or a watchmaker's study. Dust lay thick and untouched. On the table, under a layer of gray felt, stood strange instruments. Glass flasks containing frozen, shimmering liquid, copper gears connected into intricate mechanisms, and in the center, a large chronometer, its hands frozen at exactly midnight. But what struck Clara most were the letters. They lay in a neat stack, addressed, "To my dear Clara." The handwriting was painfully familiar, angular, impatient, the handwriting of her grandfather, Leonard Vane, a brilliant and eccentric physicist who had disappeared 20 years ago when Clara was only 5. Officially, he was declared missing during a storm, but rumors swirled of his wild experiments with time. With trembling hands, she began to read. The first letters were filled with tenderness and regret at separation. He wrote of his work, of searching for a nodal point in time, a place where past, present, and future converge. "Time, Clara," he wrote, "is not a river, it's an ocean, and in it there are quiet backwaters where you can drop anchor." With each letter, his tone grew increasingly anxious. He described his success. He had managed to create chronostasis, a state of complete temporal stagnation within a single room. "I stopped the hourglass," he confessed, "but I didn't think about where the sand would go." In the last, shortest letter, the ink was pale, as if washed away by tears or haste. Clara, if you're reading this, it means you found the key. It means you're as curious as I am. That's both comforting and terrifying. Do not attempt to repeat the experiment. I've sealed the room. The mechanism is damaged. It didn't stop time. It trapped it in a loop here, inside. It flows, but it doesn't go away. It whispers. Go away. Lock the door. Throw the key into the sea. Forget about me and this place. This isn't a gift, but a trap. I'm not stuck in time, Clara. I've become part of it. Go away before it's too late. Clara tore her gaze from the paper, and a chilling dread gripped her. The room had changed. The dust on the table no longer lay in even layer, but in waves as if blown by an invisible wind. The hands on the chronometer still pointed at midnight, but their shadows on the dial slowly crept, living their own life. And then she heard. At first it was a barely perceptible sound, like distant surf. Then it took shape as whispers. Not one, but many voices, layered over one another like echoes from a deep well. They sounded on the edge of hearing, uttering fragments of phrases. The sand doesn't flow. The gear is broken. Find the central axis. And among them, clearer than the others, was a voice she remembered only from old recordings. Her grandfather's voice. It sounded tired and endless.